Thanks, Mark. My goal today is to try to get through what is normally a 45-minute presentation in 10 minutes. So if you'll bear with me, I'm going to go pretty quickly on this. But I'll give you my bio in just a second, but I've spent a long time, in fact, almost 40 years working in sports in some capacity. And it was at a point when I was actually working as the vice president of marketing for the Houston Zoo when I realized every business should treat their business like a sports team. Sports teams are not only the most recognized brands, but they're among the most well-run businesses in the world when you think about it. So I came up with this concept of how to treat your business, and I found I can help you apply it to any business that you have. So I'm going to run through this pretty quickly. We're going to talk about what I just said, talk a little bit about myself, the team concept, how you create raving fans, and then I'll be happy to take your feedback afterwards today. So I was born and raised on the east side of Houston, grew up in Channelview, went to Sam Houston State University. I've spent 25 years in leadership positions in the sports industry, but also in the nonprofit. I took a break full-time from working in sports to go to the Houston Zoo. I was there for 9 years, created Zoo Lights, helped rebrand the organization, took it from 25 million in revenue to 54 million in revenue, from 1.5 million in attendance to 2.5 million. Those revenue and attendance numbers were second only to the San Diego Zoo in the country. Very proud of that. Thank you. And then I left there to go become CEO of the Red Cross, the Gulf Coast region. I was on the job 4 months when Harvey hit. I ended up having some, let's say, disagreements with the national organization and left about 2 months after Harvey and started my own consulting business. I've also been how many of you have been to a Houston Texans game? All right, so for the last 19 years, I'm the voice you hear inside the stadium. So these are the organizations I've worked for full-time in Houston. Started my career with the Astros, with the Rockets, went to the Astros, came back to Houston after moving around the country working in sports. Worked for the Texans full-time starting in 2004, have been there in the capacity as announcer since 2006. And then I also spent 2 years at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo as CEO. Mentioned the Red Cross and the Houston Zoo. And then since I have been out on my own consulting, these are some of the partners I've been working with. Most of my work is here in Houston. I have been working for the last year and a half with a client in Rhode Island, a soccer club that I just helped them open a brand new stadium on May 3rd. Guerrilla Doctors in Rwanda, and then Resolution Games, which is an AR/VR company started by the founders of Candy Crush. Anybody ever heard of play Candy Crush? Tommy and his team, I worked with them out of Sweden. And then I've had leadership roles with some of the biggest events to come to Houston, including the Super Bowl, Final Four, College Football National Championship, and I've just taken on a consulting role for the World Cup, which comes to Houston in next summer of 2026. So how do you treat your business like a sports team? How many of you love to say your business is like a family? Right? A lot of you do, right? That's not true. It is not like a family. You can't fire your uncle. You know, you can't just go around giving random bonuses to your employees because you think that they need it for a car, right? You can't treat your family like business and your business like family, right? It's a great way to think, certainly a good culture to build, but it can't be how you run your business, right? It's a professional relationship. And look at how much we love players that play for our teams, but they don't stay here anymore. Alex Bregman, love Alex Bregman. I think he was the spark that ignited the Astros for the last 7 or 8 years. He left because he got more money to go to the Boston Red Sox. It's not family. The team dynamics, when you think about your business, especially people, your managers are like coaches, right? You put them in those positions to manage the people, manage the business. Your employees, they're like the players. Just like I said, they can come and go. You're always looking for new talent. You're always looking to improve the talent you have. And sometimes you're looking to remove talent. And your customers, they're your fans, right? So to me, an easy dynamic to see in relation to sports teams. So let's get into how you can start to really look at your business like a sports team. I love the fact that for baseball, football, basketball, they don't just start opening day, show up the day before, get their uniforms and go to work and start playing games. They go to spring training. They go to training camp. They spend weeks, sometimes months, getting ready for the new season, right? What are you doing to prepare for the new season, the new fiscal year? How much training and development are you looking at every single year, every single month? What are the things you're doing to constantly be getting better and looking forward in your organization? Mentorship. This is a story I love. Do you guys know who those two basketball players are? Right? It's Tim Duncan and Kawhi Leonard, right? So Kawhi was drafted very high, I believe the year after Tim was hurt. So they had a really high draft pick. Came in, and Duncan could have done one of two things. He could have said, hey, I'm the superstar, I'm the face of the franchise, I'm just gonna focus on being me. Or he could have said, this guy is the future of the franchise. I'm gonna work to develop him. I'm gonna help transfer my knowledge to him. I'm gonna help grow his skill set. And that's what he did. And that's why the Spurs have probably been the most dominant and respected franchise on the court in the NBA the last several years. What are you doing in terms of mentorship in your organization? Performance reviews. How many of you do annual performance reviews? I hate annual performance reviews. What happens? Employee shows up, all the things that you wanted to tell them over the course of the year, you wait. You say, oh, I'll just take care of it in the annual review. And then the annual review becomes all about them, in their mind, criticism, right? When you look at how teams do it, what a great example this is to me. This is on the sideline of a game. They're going through the plays that just happened. They're constantly doing performance reviews. Teams are working on it every day, every game, every quarter, every play. They're constantly talking about how they're performing. That's how your business should be looking at performance reviews. It should be a part of the everyday culture, not part of an annual review. Adaptability. To me, this is the greatest example of adaptability in relation to sports. The pitching change in baseball. You get a starting pitcher. When I was young, they used to go 7 or 8 innings, sometimes 9. Nolan Ryan, maybe 10 or 11, 200 pitches. Now you get pitch counts and you hope they go 6, right? But what happens when a pitcher who's starting for you gets injured or just doesn't have it and you have to take him out in the first inning? It changes your entire game plan. You then have to use your bullpen for that whole game, but what happens to the next game? Your bullpen's been taxed because they had to go 8 innings the day before, right? How do you adapt to changes you cannot expect? You think about last year, the storms that came through almost a year ago, right? The derecho. How many of you were ready for that? Something like that happened to your business, right? Being able to adapt and change is crucial for your business. And then my favorite part is celebrations, just like this morning, right? You should always be celebrating. Number one, celebrate team victories. And it doesn't have to be huge celebrations and your annual party. Like performance reviews, make them constant. Make constant celebrations, but also recognition programs for individuals as well. This is the Miami Hurricanes. They do this chain for every sack that their defense gets, an individual player or a turnover, I think, for them, right? So what are your recognition programs for team and individuals? Feedback and reflection. Constantly be getting feedback from your customers, your fans. So we talk about raving fans. What are raving fans? Well, number one, they're passionate advocates. They're your customers that are always out there talking about you to their friends and neighbors. They're so proud of paying money to you because you do such a great job and how you treat them. They want to tell the world about it. They're loyal. They're going to call you and you only. They're going to come to your store and yours only, right? That's what raving fans are. They're brand ambassadors. They're out there constantly. Either if you have gear, they're wearing your gear. They're telling your story. They're posting on social media about their interactions with you and your business, and they have an emotional connection to your business. Speaking of the storm last year, probably the biggest challenge that we face as a family was my wife's favorite coffee shop, Java Man, was shut down for a week. And it wasn't just because of the coffee, because we had the coffee. We buy it by the pound to have it in the house for her. But she loves going there and seeing Hannah, who greets her every day at Java Man, or Mark, the owner, who knows her name and talks to her about the kids and those kind of things, right? She really had an emotional connection and missed it when they were closed. And most importantly, they're influencers because they're out there, they have an audience, if they do have an audience, and they're talking about you, and that's what you want. And they also, this is something that I think a lot of folks miss, they're feedback providers. You want to ask them about your service. You want to ask them about their experience. How do you create raving fans? You deliver exceptional experiences. You build that emotional connection. You encourage them to get engaged with you. You reward their loyalty, and you have consistent communication with them. And you want them to leverage their word of mouth. So how do you turn your customers into raving fans? That's what I want to leave you with today. What's the way that you can turn the customers for your business into raving fans and treat your business like a sports team? So when I was at the zoo, that's when I came up with a concept of treating any business like a sports team, not when I was actually with a sports team. And part of my growth there was a professional development program, which really got me inspired and interested in coaching and mentoring. And I originally went out on my own to start a coaching business. And I do have some CEOs I coach now and some business owners, but my other clients have kind of gotten in the way of getting that going. So I've decided 2025 is really the year. So one of the things I'm doing is building a group, two groups actually, one of business owners or CEOs, and then another one of emerging leaders. And that's my pitch today. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but if you or your company might be interested in being a part of an executive leadership group or an emerging leaders group, you can scan that, hit me up on LinkedIn or through the chamber. And that's my presentation. Was that 10 minutes? I've never been able to talk for less than 10 minutes.